Welcome back to another episode of Voices of Hult. We're joining you from the campus from Boston. My name is Firas, and this is Rafa, your regular host. And today we're joined by Alex Sadie. Good to have you, Alex.
Hello, Alex. Welcome to Voices of Hult. Finally, we're having you here.
Thank you very much. I was starting to wonder whether or not I would ever make it on the pod, but after a long year of making sure our schedules could collide, we made it happen.
Yeah, actually, Alex helped us like a few months ago, trying to connect with undergrad students, and it's been great. Now he's on the other side being interviewed. So, who's Alex Sadie? Can you tell us a little bit more about you?
Yeah, no. So again, Alex Sadie from Cambridge, Massachusetts here. I'm a senior program manager and events lead with our undergraduate program. So effectively what that means is I am a student advisor, as well as someone for the HSA to go to. I advise
What is it? What is an HSA though?
Good question. The HSA is the Hult Student Association.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my role here.
Great. And I know you're also working with two different programs that Hult have. Mm-hmm. Which are those?
Yes. So the undergraduate program has what we call a legacy program, which is comprised of pretty much half of our student body, juniors and seniors. So those are who myself and my colleague Rachel, we advise those students. And then we have a module program, which is really exciting, where most of our underclassmen students are in, where it's very hands-on, very practical. Every 7.5 weeks, they are putting forth a business challenge strategy project. And so that's sort of the differentiation between the programs.
Got it. And I know you're currently working with around 200 students. Like, that's a big responsibility.
Roughly.
Yeah, and I think like in the undergrads program in total, we have around 700 or something like that. So yeah, like we're currently right now in the in Hult Center. This is like mainly for postgrads, but we have another building where Alex Sadie is working all the time.
All the time, around the clock, Rafa. And don't worry, we're coming for Hult Center too. We're already on 5 and 6.
I see him around here as well. I see him around here as well.
Yeah.
So I also know, because I've seen you performing around here, that you have a band. You're a musician, you're a singer.
Yes, Rafa has put me on the spot here. So some friends and I, we are in a band, as well as a coworker of mine. She has her own band as well, incredible musician. You should check them out. Their band's called Hot Take.
What is yours?
But yes, our band goes by different names. So at Halloween, when we performed here, we were the Funkin' Pumpkins.
Okay.
To be on brand for people. But yeah, we do a lot of high energy, funk, rock, soul, pop, occasionally some rap as well. Just a fun time. So we'll be sure to let you know when the next gig is.
Amazing. And I know you went to college in Michigan, and now you're back in your hometown working for Hult. How all this happened? Like how you end up back here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, working for Hult?
Well, once I left Cambridge, I went to school, as you said, out in Michigan, which incredible place. But I went to school in a literal cornfield. It was a square mile campus full of students from the Midwest, full of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois. Some of my best friends to date. But once I got out there, I definitely realized, I really love the Northeast. There's a pace that people move with out here. There's a diversity about Cambridge that I really enjoyed. Yeah. And so I came back to the East Coast after school for that reason. As much as I loved the Canadians that I went to school with, it's like Canada and the United States, just the States, was most of the obvious diversity, I guess, like the state diversity. So coming back to Cambridge was exciting for that reason.
And you were working right next to us, or how was the story?
Right next door. It was just the friendly neighbor over in EF. So I came back. I was actually teaching as a 7th and 8th grade English teacher in Dorchester, which was fabulous, super intense, 13-hour days, coaching 3 sports, teaching piano.
Oh, cool.
Had a lot of freedom over the curriculum as well, which was great. Provided its own challenges for sure. I definitely miss those students. There's nothing like a 6th grader telling you that, like, your shoes are messed up to really make you check yourself when you wake up in the morning.
Kids tend to be honest.
It's a beautiful thing.
Happen, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So I traded the 6th and 7th and 8th graders for working with their teachers actually in educational sales over at EF. So I worked in educational tours, which is where you work with middle school and high school teachers on getting them to take trips overseas. So I was kind of dipping my toe into the international world in that regard. That was really fun. And then I left that job actually to start a mentorship program for campers in the Boston area who were affiliated with the summer camp that I was a camp counselor at. And, for a bunch of business reasons and stuff that didn't come fully to fruition. So it was a wonderful opportunity for me to actually go out on my own and be a life coach for about 5-6 months before I started at Hult. And then the darkness of winter came.
Of course.
I was 24 years old. It was good. I had enough clients to sustain myself. And I had a background in, some base level psychology and motivation and coaching and teaching. And so I felt confident in the space, but there's something about not having coworkers when you're 24 and an extrovert, and just thinking, just having health insurance through a company would be like a nice perk right now. So I saw the role open up with undergrad and jumped on it.
Got it. And I mean, because of what you just told me and of what you're doing right now, I would say that you are passionate about trying to change people's lives and how do you make an impact in their lives and things like that. So I think maybe you're on the right spot right now, huh? Because you're working with a lot of students. You were doing it with less people before, but now you have a big group of students that you're trying to be in their lives. And and I know you have not just been here in Boston campus, but you've also been in Dubai. How was that experience?
Yes. No, I think, Rafa, first off, the most important thing about this job has been the impact, right? I think working with students from all across the globe, hearing different languages each day, each minute, right? Yeah. Sometimes I'm in a conversation actively speaking Spanish, which I don't speak. Yo no hablo español. Nada. And then at the same time, I will jump into a conversation in French with a student from France or Senegal, and then there will be Arabic in the background. And that as a workplace is really inspiring. It's super fun. So that is just something I really love about it. And the Dubai opportunity was unreal. So the undergraduate program doesn't have a full-time presence in Dubai. It's where a lot of our master's programs are year round. So correct. In the summer, they get to send some of us who work in UG for 4 or 5, 6 weeks this summer to run the program. And it was definitely one of the highlights of my time here at Hult.
Nice. By the way, guys, UGs is undergraduates, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. And PGs are postgraduates.
Just to touch upon a little bit more about the whole international scene and navigating these different cultures, how do you think you're able to just navigate all that and get through to these students and help make change in their lives?
That's a great question, Firas. I think what's most important for me is I love storytelling and I love people's stories and I love, the artistic side of it, but also just the human side of it. And for me, growing up, being friends with people from all over, understanding that those differences excite me, as opposed for trying to find homogeneity in things. I think just being excited by that allows me to see sort of the benefits of where, even if someone's coming from completely different space or is faced with a really difficult challenge or obstacle, there's an excitement of dealing with that with someone who I also have to connect with in very simple cultural ways. Even just from mannerisms, from the way people speak about things, there's this leveling of letting someone come to you with their emotions and feelings, and letting them be their true self in that, and creating a space where they don't feel like that in and of itself is a barrier to help, right? And to ask questions, and then once they feel comfortable in that, to hold up the mirror and let them really like find what it is that's bogging them down, and create that, like curating those spaces is something I'm really, really intent on doing. And I try to do it in my friendships and relationships and everything across the board. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're doing great. I think like everyone on campus knows Alex, and the vibe and the energy he's always having. Like you will know when Alex is around. Like you will say, like you will listen to everyone's like, hi, how are you?
Like, who's that?
Who's that? You know, and in every event that we have in school, you are like the one in front with the microphone, you know, like cheering everyone up. So that's good, because basically that's your job, and you're connecting actually with people, but not just like in that sense of fun things, but this really vulnerable space, or where students needs to be feeling comfortable enough to come to you and feel vulnerable and tell you like this is going on and I need help, in not just in the sense of like, hey, I need, you know, my grades are not good, but also like I'm not feeling great. I don't know how,
what I have to say here is that first off, everyone should come on the pod, because I'm getting gassed up big time right now. But the second thing, and more seriously, I think leading with humor and levity and understanding that those elements of like, you know, I think that human beings need to always feel 4 things to feel like grounded, right? So this was taught to me by some genius humans who are big mentors to me. But if we don't feel powerful, playful, loving, or free, if one of those things feels out of sync, then we can't achieve everything to the greatest extent that's possible. If something's out of whack there, then, you know, as you continue to, your expectation and reality will go further and further from each other. And so for me, you can't hide from yourself, right? Yeah. So I am by nature fun loving, but I think there is truly much more weight to that energy that I go through life in. And I think it's really important, because humor, especially with people who are younger, right? Like they're so malleable, and to try and bring that energy, like if we're not bringing that energy that a student walking around these halls is bringing, we're doing them a disservice. And so we owe it to be on that level. We owe it to have our aura precede us, right? Because that's the expectation. Like the students in these halls are doing incredible stuff and packing their days and shooting for the moon. And if we're just like here for a 9 to 5 to be an average person, like that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, I think something important that I recently learned, I think also because of you, I think your previous role was like a coach or something.
Yeah, so there's an element. So my role at Hult here has generally been similar in the sense of student facing, working with faculty to some extent, ensuring like the general holistic health of extracurriculars to a certain extent, you know, in collaboration with a lot of other departments. But at its core, it's about it's customer service and it's growth, right? It's knowing that students come here, they're here for a couple of years, and in the undergraduate program at least, and it's the knowledge that the ways in which we communicate with them, the way we pass information to them, the way we talk to our peers about problems, the way we assess problems, are all things that people are looking at. They're all things that students pick up on, right? The way we deal with conflict resolution, the way that we deal with, you know, professors and students who might be coming to a head about like a school issue, right? Like these are all moments to model leadership and communication. And that's something that is always central to my role, no matter the title, no matter all those things. I find that that's most important.
Yeah, and I was asking this because, as I was saying, I recently learned that in the undergrads teams, in the undergrads classes or students, they all have coaches, right?
Correct.
And I've never heard of that before in any other school. So it's like every single undergrad student have a coach, and I think coaches like you were before or the current ones that we have in Hult, they know every single one of the students they are coaching. And it's like amazing because you actually connect and they know each other. And it's probably not like in other schools that you have like 500 students you're taking care of. And someone said like a few days ago, like my coach is like my mom here. Because when I need an advice, I just go to my coach because I need a recommendation for life. So I think that's also a way that you're making an impact in Hult.
It's a wonderful model. I think, you know, the beauty about Hult is the diversity and is this, especially in the undergraduate program. I mean, if you grow up in the States, there are very few students who are able to or who elect to go to college who go into a business specific program like this. Now, there are students that graduate from universities all over. I mean, business administration is probably one of the biggest majors in the United States. But the schools they're going to aren't necessarily like Hult, where everyone around them has that similar drive or that similar ambition. So it's actually very niche. And on top of that, to add something that you might associate with a liberal arts background, right? This idea of like a general life advisor in a sense, right? Who is able and qualified to hold up that mirror and coach you, right? And help you figure out who you want to be, what you want to do, as opposed to just assess a degree audit and see, you know, you have 2 months or 2 semesters until you graduate. But, oh, like you're struggling with X, Y, and Z, right? We actually have time to break that down. And having that at the ratio that we have here is incredible.
Exactly. That's
right?
what I
With
was
the
saying.
amount of students, we actually can do that. And, you know, there are people here, I mean, I don't know how many Marias we have on campus, but it's more than one.
Yeah,
and the beauty of our program is that if you were to walk in to the second floor office in Hult Point and just like shout out a name to someone and then give them maybe 2 seconds of context on that person, you wouldn't have to say what their last name is, because like the person you're speaking to or their coach would know exactly who it is. And that's amazing because I swear I advise 15 Marias, but
So they know.
What you're saying, based on what you're saying, I feel like your role is very essential around here, especially for the international scene, everyone coming in from all around the world. The culture shock, people underestimate that, especially for people in undergraduate, which makes your role all the more valuable. But based on that, like you playing the role of a mentor, being like a life advisor for all these people, all these students coming in, do you see yourself continuing and building upon on that role for a long term, on the longer term?
Yeah, no, thank you, Firas. I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to run from who you are. And depending on what's happening in your life, I think oftentimes it is easy to find distractions from that. And for me, whatever the role is, whatever the next step to that is, I think finding a way to have impact in the way that I think myself and so many others here who work at Hult have, I think is integral. What's been eye-opening has been working in an international space. You know, when I went to Dubai, same thing, like, oh, who gets this opportunity to just go to Dubai for 5 weeks?
And like, I'm going to be there.
Yeah, like catch me, you know? And but to have the type of impact that we had over there and the freedom too. I want to, you know, be sure I shout out like my superiors basically for saying, we understand the picture of quality that you have, and we're entrusting you with this program of, you know, 60 to 70 students. Make it happen, right? And just allowing the work to show for that and allowing me to be creative. And my coworker, Elena, who was with me, Elena Diaz.
You can say hi.
You know, shout out, what's up, Elena, from London. So again, like that is so integral to my own growth in that space and realizing like, okay, there's real impact beyond, and it's nice to be shouted out by people and to have strong relationships with students and faculty. But to know that there's something even deeper than that allows you to push through and find other spaces to be yourself in and to try and stay humble as someone who, you know, is looking to coach.
And do you want to do it like still with international students? Is that your vision, or is like in different, like you just want to like just go into students' life in general? Because I think there's a difference between like
I think there's a huge
students,
I think there's a huge difference, and I think it comes down to just some level of, one, just cultural exposure. Like you have to really I thank myself every day that I have this like I have the freedom to feel really ignorant about certain things because like I know how much I don't know. But I only probably feel that way or know that because of how much exposure I've had to people's lives, right? Who are from different backgrounds.
Because you're not supposed to know it. Right?
Yeah. It's like, you know, there's,
to me. There's some things that a lot of my friends share and they're like, oh, you've never heard of it? And I'm like, no, I have no idea. And I don't feel bad about it because I'm like,
absolutely.
I mean, that probably happened in your country and your culture, but it's not a thing for me or my culture. So tell me more about it, you know, like, but sorry, you were saying.
I think that's a good point. And I mean, even just in this room, right? Like Firaz is Lebanese, right? You're Peruvian. I'm from the States and have, you know, my family's from actually Lebanon as well. And then Ireland and the Netherlands, right? And so
from everywhere,
right? From all over, from these different backgrounds. And I think what I want to continue is being in spaces where that is celebrated. And so, you know, if that's in the cards, then it's in the cards.
And I have one question for you, because you're young, and I think you're you're younger than me.
You can't tell by this head of hair over here. Come on.
I feel like every episode Rafa has to bring up his age.
No.
He's right on that cusp.
No. So I wanted to ask you because
happy belated, by the way. Happy
thank
belated
you.
birthday.
I was wanting to ask you that you've been a student here in the US.
Yeah.
But you were also a student in a small place in Michigan, but you were also from Cambridge, which is like a super multicultural city, I would say. But now you're also part of Hult, which is like super international.
Yeah.
How do you see the difference between like I'm gonna call it regular school, and Hult, which is I do believe like super international place because we don't only have these campuses, we have many other campuses and people from around the world. What are the main differences for everyone to know? Because people might be wondering like, oh, that might be just like a normal.
I'll tell you the biggest difference. The biggest difference is that people don't wake up on Saturday morning here and watch college football. I mean,
Super Bowl's coming.
I mean, oh my goodness. Even that comment there, right? Like the Super Bowl being big as opposed to just the American sports zeitgeist. Like just understanding what's happening there is such a huge difference. I mean, I love soccer. I grew up playing soccer. Did not watch a single kick of the Premier League, and just in my time of coming back here, right, like watching Champions League and Premier League and La Liga and catching some Syria, right? Like these things now just are happening in my life, and I'm sure some of that are my own choices, but also it's just the community, right? It's like walking down the street here and you know seeing everyone playing five-a-side. Yeah, and for me, you know, as someone from the States, like the pickup sports are basketball or flag football. Like you would rarely go to a schoolyard and see soccer being played and American football not being played. It's not that soccer isn't played by kids, but so I think there are some funny differences, just that, and then just, I mean, there are hilarious other small cultural differences, but probably just even the things people eat, right? Like if you go to where I went to college, there's like this one intersection in the town. It's like a town of 20,000 people maybe. And like Taco Bell or McDonald's. Yeah. That's what you're eating. I mean, you couldn't find Thai food for as far as the eye could see, and that's with like 10 pairs of glasses on. So I think like
Boston is a really good place because you have food from all around the world. I would say like we have Mexican right here, and then we have like mainly Italian right there, Peruvian around. I don't know about Lebanese food though, but you
gotta go to Firaz's kitchen.
There's some decent places. I've tried some. When I got a little bit homesick, I was able to find a couple.
That's good.
I mean, thing is, the clientele is here. That's why you find this diversity in here. Yeah, it's not gonna be.
What's your favorite spot for Lebanese?
Oh, you want me to shout out some places?
Just give us some
sponsorship coming.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you know what? Check out Shawarma and Shakes in Weymouth.
Okay,
that's there. All right. So and
Weymouth.
there's
For
also
all the Lebanese people around or listening to us.
and Habibi Kitchen. Habibi Kitchen is a
Okay.
good
Kitchen.
one.
Where's that?
It's in Attenborough. It's like about 20 minutes outside of Boston, I'd say.
Okay. But you
Okay.
see, you can get a little bit of everything around
bit of
here.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to know where to look.
Yeah, and if you work at Hult, you know who to ask, where to look.
Exactly. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, Alex, thank you so much for sharing all these, all your journey through Holt and how you've been like evolving here and your experience with international students and how you're making an impact in these international students' lives.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go to the question section. So what's gonna happen is that we have a question from one of our previous guests that you will have
God.
to answer. Yeah. And then you will have the chance to make a question for our next guest. Okay.
All right, drum roll.
Okay, perfect. So the question that we have for you is, what is your rose, bud, and thorn of current role at work or at school? And just to explain to everyone, what is the rose, bud, and thorn? Because I didn't know.
I've never heard that expression. in my life.
I didn't, and that's one of the, I don't
See,
know.
this is how we give back to the international community, right? We teach you
I-
these funny icebreakers.
I received the question and I was like, who's
what?
Rose? And I was like, who's Rose?
We're like Rose from Titanic.
Yeah, so basically, rose is something you love. Bud is something you want to improve, right?
Yeah, yeah. Bud is something that is either in the works, it's budding, right? Like a
Okay.
flower. And you know,
And thorn is
could be better.
thorn.
Thorn is a thorn.
Okay, so
If you like thorns getting stuck in you, that's a different conversation.
yeah. Okay, so tell us, what is your rose, bud, and thorn of your current role at work or at school?
Well, I'll actually start with the thorn. I think the thorn is that specifically, right, this legacy program and these students who, you know, I'm so passionate about working with, they are, the program is graduating all of its seniors, and then the module program where sort of the newer program is, we will just be working with those students. And so the program manager role that I technically am in is graduating with that, which is really exciting. But it is a bit of a thorn in and of itself, seeing as it will be a dinosaur soon. So you know, hopefully I can move through it and have been, you know, one of the last ones, carry the torch. But that's the thorn, is that there's, you know, I'm really excited about the opportunities that brings with it. But it does, you know, it leads some work to do.
In a positive way, maybe all the students graduating are going to be doing their masters here, so I'll be around.
Hey, I do my part. Talk to the enrollment team. I do my part. I love seeing our students come back and do their masters here. That's actually a huge highlight for me of working with seniors. I would say the bud, something that I've really enjoyed has been helping advise the HSA, the Hult Student Association, and something that I just continues to be evident for me is how much less hands-on I feel I need to be with certain elements of extracurricular life here. So the co-curricular, like seeing the student association take huge strides with the events they do and the leadership they have, the way they run their meetings. There's a real pride, but also a sense of, oh, nice, like this is in good hands, right? Like there are other spaces now that I can put more time into, and there's this level of trust. And so just like the bud there is less about me and more about seeing them grow as leaders and effectively like help us with some of the elements of our job that in the past, you know, we had more to do.
Yeah, I feel when you're saying that, because also, because you're talking about the undergrads, right? But also, for us and I are also part of the HSAs for postgrads. And, you know, there's a lot of organization behind, and we have meetings every week, and we're trying to do events and things like that for students. And it's like not organized by our school. It's supported by school, but it's organized by students. We're trying to, you know, get into our cohorts and understand. I don't know, like, what's your main highlight about being an HSA, for example?
Honestly, just being able to be like a vessel, being the message between the
Correct.
students
Yeah.
and administration.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest responsibility for it, and just being able to connect with the other HSAs has been really insight. Like
that's great.
Yeah.
a lot goes into the process of organizing events that you wouldn't really think about until
Yeah.
you're actually in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Like those elements of event planning with when students are really involved and passionate about that, my life is so much easier. So I'm always grateful
Happy
for
to
that.
hear that. Well, what about the rose then?
The rose is just everything we've been talking about. I mean, the fact that I bike to work, and I bike to work, which in and of itself, I would say huge plug for anyone that wants to become a cyclist. You're super happy when you get off your bike and you're at work. So it's a good way to start the day. But when I come in and get to, like, I see my students, I see them laughing, high-fiving each other, I see them talking to professors, the flexibility that we have to be impactful, right? And like find those spaces where, okay, for one student, they might want to go walk in the park. For one student, they might want to go get coffee, right? For another student, they might want to sit and pore over their homework. And, for others, you might need like a tissue box for that meeting. And you might need to, close that door and just say, this space is for you. And while, maybe those conversations aren't the rose in and of itself, it's that combination, I think, when you're having this type of impact and you get to see it on a daily basis, like that's what brings me back.
I love it. I think you're like, as I was saying, you're doing a great job because you're like touching people's life, and that's basically what you're supposed to do. And I think like that's the something that you will be so proud as well when you see this happening. But well, thank you. So now you can make the question for the next.
All right. Oh, let's see. You guys are lucky that I like having to come up with things on the fly. My question to the next guest is if they could be a cuisine, so any type of international cuisine, what would they be?
Okay.
And why?
Someone's hungry.
So, I mean, hey,
Do you have lunch?
you guys scheduled this interview for dinner time. So,
Okay, so if you can be a cuisine.
if I could be a cuisine, this man turning it on me.
No, sorry. Yeah, that was the question.
Yes, so the next guest, right?
Yeah.
Ask the next guest if
they-
you were a cuisine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you were a cuisine, you watching this podcast, if you were a cuisine, what would you be and why?
Okay, I love it.
Yeah, I have some thoughts too, but that's for the bloopers.
Yeah,
So,
we're gonna leave in some comments, Alex.
Yeah.
Answer. So you can just stay tuned.
Yeah,
But well, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to see what our next guest is gonna say about that. But yeah,
can't wait to tune in.
Yeah, well, thank you for us.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
everyone
having
for
me.
watching.
Yep.
Thank
See
you,
you the next
everyone.
time.
See you.